everybody, this is Kevin Miller. Welcome to the Free Agent Underground Show. It's Wednesday, June 27th, 3 o'clock Mountain Time. I'm in New Mexico, same place I've been the past couple weeks. I'm at the Manuelito Navajo, I always say that wrong, Navajo Children's Home. Today, I've got some of the teens with me I've been working with for the past couple weeks. We've been doing a lot of talk about story. Specifically. Now, Deb and Gino is with me, and she provided them with some personality profiles. She did some quick and dirty ones for us so they could actually do them. I've got them here in paper. So they did those, and we got an idea of their personality styles. But Deb is going to help make those more tangible, which those of you who have actually done personality profiles, a lot of you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know your styles, your characteristics, but you don't know how to use them in a way that actually has any viability to your life. That's what Deb is about. You can find her at mywiredstyle.com and strengthleader.com. But for those of you especially who have teens or have kids at all, but especially teens, I think My Wired Style, she has some personality profiles based on the DISC, the D-I-S-C format that are specifically suited to teens. So go there and do that. It will help you help your teen maximize their strengths and actually do something, excel in them, instead of what Deb hates most, just having to conform to mediocrity and, being average in everything. So that's what we're going to do today, is talk through this. And what she posed to everybody is to write down some things, and that's what these guys wrote down, a couple things that they in the past that they've done that they are good at, some things that they are good at and enjoyed. And Deb, you made that differentiation, I think, I assume specifically because as I talked to them a minute ago about it, there are some things that I could think back when I was thinking through this and think, okay, I was good at this activity or this endeavor, but I didn't enjoy it. And so I assume that you specifically made that differentiation, yes?
Yeah. Can I share with the group why sort of the track we're taking, Kev? Is that okay?
Please, yes.
So here's the thing, right here at Free Agent Academy in the U course that we take people through, or the strengths course, we're helping folks to really narrow down what they're good at and what they enjoy. So my volume, it says, is really, really loud. I'm going to talk very softly, and I'll actually move my mic away a little bit. I hope that helps, Tori. Let me know.
Oh, you know what? I do have one control I can try to. Okay, folks, let me know if that's any better. Go ahead.
I want to make sure I don't blow people's eardrums out.
That's okay. It makes us listen.
Yeah, I bet. So being able to operate what we call in our sweet spot, and our sweet spot is that area where our strengths and our satisfactions meet together. So, Kevin, I thought it was so cool that you guys went through the Wired Style Revolution profile for teens, because that helps us to identify some of the things that we're good at, some of our strengths. But the real key is, how do we find not only our strength, but those things that we really dig, that we really enjoy the most?
Yes.
So let me use an example.
Okay, and I'm going to show them the cover to what we did here. That's what she's talking about.
Wired Style Revolution report. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So as a teenager, I was good at babysitting. Why? Because I loved being in charge. But I didn't get a lot of satisfaction out of it because, frankly, I hated chasing the little kids around all the time. So even though I was good at it because I like being bossy, doesn't mean that I should be doing that for the rest of my life, clearly. So it's really the matter of marrying your strengths and your satisfaction. When those two meet together, that's the sweet spot, and that's what we want to talk about today.
Okay, beauty. There you go. And, I did forget to tell you guys, I'm not going to spend much time on it. If anybody's listening now or listening later on the podcast and have heard about the fires in Colorado Springs that have gotten within a couple miles of our home, just go to Facebook. You can find me at Agent K Miller on Facebook, and you can see pictures and maps and things that showcase about that. For those of you who know Gary Barkalow, he's down in the Springs. He's actually not going to be leading his calling class today in Free Agent Academy because he's been helping his family evacuate out of the areas in Colorado Springs where over 30,000 people have been evacuated, over 100 homes have been lost. Some people that he knows, I believe, have lost their homes. So But anyways, if you want to know about that, find it, check it out on Facebook. Our home for the moment is okay. We don't know what's going to happen, and at this point, we couldn't get there anyways if we wanted to. All right, so Deb, are you ready just to take a couple live participants here?
Yeah. Do we have a volunteer? Is there somebody who'd like to volunteer? Who's Teresa?
You nailed it. Okay, so Teresa's a great one because she is turns 18 in July 16th. She turns 18, so she's looking at going out into the great big world here before long. Okay, so let me get her. You got her results in front of you. Let me get hers, and I can. I don't know if I can do this justice by showing it to folks who are watching the video. Probably not. I don't know if I can get close enough. Anyways, you can see this, and for those of you who know, well, you tell them about it. You've got her profile results. You tell them.
Yeah, so Teresa, the reason, Teresa, I'm picking on you firstly is because you're my sister. You're a D-wired gal. You and Ellery and Autumn all have very strong D-wiring. So Teresa's score, just for the folks that are listening in, when we talk about DISC, it's measuring our motivation and our strengths in 4 different areas. D stands for dominance. I stands for inspiring. S stands for being very steadfast or steady. And then C stands for somebody who is very competent. They're really more about the rules. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But Teresa, what I loved about your report is you are off the chart on the D side. So your strengths are very much in that dominant column, if you will. And I could see you're back there with Autumn, who's another D. So I could see you guys would get along just swell. But Teresa, did you have a chance to think of some examples where you did something that you really enjoyed and you were pretty good at it? And would you mind sharing it with us?
Okay. See that mic right there? Hold on a second. Let me turn it on. You ready? I'm going to turn it on. It's real sensitive, so get it close up to your mouth, and there, go.
It's kind of funny that you say this because when you started out talking about what you thought that you were good at, I think I'm actually good at babysitting too.
That's good.
Another thing that I think that I'm good at and that I actually enjoy is giving people advice.
Excellent.
And those are the 2 main things that I came up with.
Okay, so Deb, you want to comment on that?
So let's help. This is so great for everybody listening and even to the podcast later on to hear. Because when we talk about, think of those 2 examples, right? Teresa, babysitting and giving advice. In both of those cases, you're the person in charge, right? You're the person who's looked at as the person people should go to for help. You're the person that people will be drawn to or know that you're going to help, share some wisdom with them, share some good advice with them, share maybe some rules with them if you're babysitting, right? So one of the things that's really important for folks like us that are very D-wired is we like to be seen as the expert or the boss. We like to be the person that people go to for advice or for help. So, Teresa, would you mind, could you share with us when folks go to you, when your friends go to you for advice, right? And they're like, Teresa, I got this problem, or, hey, I'm wondering about this. What would you tell me? What would you tell me that I should do? How does that make you feel? And you give them the advice. What does that do for you when you're telling them what your point of view is or what your ideas are?
I don't know. I guess it makes me feel, like you said, like in control. And it makes me feel good to tell people what, like, my perspective and what I don't know. I think most of it is I like helping people.
Well, and the word I thought of was influence.
Yeah.
Do you like the opportunity?
Yeah, I like the opportunity to be influential.
Yeah.
That's great. What's also good, too, Teresa, is think about it in terms of, if we could for a moment, Kevin, talk about it in terms of jobs and careers, right? So somebody with Teresa's skills and strengths and satisfaction would do really well to be either someone who is maybe not in charge right off the bat, but has an opportunity to grow into a role where they could be in charge. So maybe someone who could assist or apprentice with someone and learn from them, and then be able to grow as they're learning, and then take everything that they've learned and share that with some other people. So that's something that would be really good for you, Teresa, to at least start to think about. Maybe there are some subjects that you really enjoy, or some things that you really enjoy doing. And that's one thing you might want to look at. Can you become an apprentice somewhere?
Adam, I haven't really looked into anything much besides college. I'm still trying to figure out, the Millers, when they came, they gave me more to think about, because before they came, I was only thinking about just going to college and just the usual, but I really haven't looked that much into it. So.
Even going to college, that's a wonderful thing, as long as you're going with a purpose, right? That you're going to maybe study something that's really of interest to you, or something that you really feel, I wish I could do something in this area. I have a friend she really loves medicine. So when she went to college, it was always interesting to her to take medicine. And she wasn't sure if she wanted to be a doctor or a nurse or just work in a hospital, maybe at a desk. But she just knew she wanted something that had to do with medicine. So think of it in terms of what you really enjoy, and how you can use that for college too.
Yeah, I just realized we have you on video, Deb. I didn't know that you had your video on. We can actually see you now.
Hi.
Beauty. Excellent. All right. You want another participant here?
Yeah. So can we jump over? Well, should I ask Teresa? Did she have any other questions? Did she have any questions or anything she wanted to say in regard to that?
Not really. Not that I could think of right now.
If you think if something comes in your mind, let us know.
Okay,
for any of you guys, do you want to jump over into? Now, I said, here we are with the with some of the kids from the home here. Though there's two imposters, which is my kids, Autumn and Caleb.
See Caleb over on the right there.
Well,
yeah.
and do we have? Actually, no. I was going to say we want to jump over on the other side, unless you don't want to do it there, Aisha. Aisha's a high C. I think you have her profile down there.
Aisha is a CS.
Is that? Yeah, I think so. Okay.
Where's Aisha? Who's Aisha?
Okay, right here. All right. So
wait, Aisha, so I can see you.
Right front and center here.
Yeah, so you'll be the shy one.
See, she knows. Okay, so go ahead, Deb.
So Aisha, if we could talk a little bit, I know you were going to put together a couple of, ideas of where you really did something that you enjoyed and you felt satisfaction. What were they for you?
I don't know.
Okay.
Mine's blank. Okay, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Caleb, however, right next to me, he's also, as far as looking at that personality style, you've got his, and he was wasn't he all C?
He's off the chart C, because Caleb actually did the Wired Style Revolution when I was first writing it. Do you remember that, Caleb?
Yeah. Okay.
You and Autumn were kind enough to be a couple of my test subjects when I was just writing this particular profile, and your C was very high. Now, did you write a couple of things down of things that you really enjoy and that you're really great at doing?
Yeah, I used to do it. I used to play with Legos a lot when I was little and just building stuff. And I don't do that kind of stuff as much anymore, but I'm still good at it.
Hold it closer to your mouth.
And I enjoy it.
Yep.
But
you know what? Go ahead, Caleb.
I do stuff more on paper now.
Mm-hmm.
Designing just graphics and blueprints and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's taken that same aspect of. We went from Legos to when we built our house. He got a hold of our blueprints, and he got into doing blueprints. He took graph paper, started doing blueprints of homes, then got thought about graphic arts, and then got Photoshop.
Yep.
Right? Is that right?
Yep.
And it started doing stuff in that, so you could see that thread.
So, Caleb, this is such an awesome, actually, example for all of us, because what you've just shared, that example, Caleb, is you are using your strength of creating in a few different ways. I mean, I've seen your beautiful handiwork and your woodworking. You gave me this wonderful candle holder that you made out of a tree.
Yeah.
That I still have upstairs in my kitchen. It's just so beautiful. But what's amazing is whether you are using your handiwork, with wood or with Legos or with paper, that's how you're doing. That's the sort of the process you're using. But when you bring it up a couple of notches, what you're really doing is creating and designing, right?
Yeah.
And similar to, sort of Uncle Scott Stearman, who you know and love, he can create and design and use many different methods to show his skill. And that's one thing that we adults get hung up on so often. Caleb is a great example for all of us listening in, that if we're really great at creating, we have to stop getting hung up on, well, should I create with wood, or should I create with Legos, or maybe I should use paper? The answer is yes, and yes, and yes. It's not an or. And I think what happens is as we get older, we lose touch with that. That's the case, that we have these gifts and talents, and they can be used in many different ways. And Caleb, you're just such a great example of that.
Yeah, and that's, for you guys, that's a big point of why we did this, is understanding those strengths. So I love that point, Deb, so that you understand your characteristics, your strengths, the things that you enjoy doing it, that you can apply in any area. So if you have to go, if you had to, you were called to a project here, they said, okay, we're going to build a greenhouse, so Jim's talked about building a greenhouse, that you guys aren't all doing the same jobs. We should know where each of you is going to get more enjoyment out of it, more fulfillment, and be better, more competent in that. Not that you want to build a greenhouse, that's something you care about, but you're going to understand how to apply yourself, where you're strong, where you enjoy, in whatever it is, and wherever you get, you end up finding yourself. Does that make sense?
And it's just such a great example for the rest of us, because we think as we get older, we get smarter. Listen, kids, don't take this the wrong way, but when we get older, we sometimes get stupider. We get dumber. All of a sudden, we get so hung up on the unimportant pieces rather than the real important piece. The real important piece is, Caleb, you can create. And how you can do that, there are so many different methods of doing it. I love the fact that you're exploring and are exploring so many of them.
Yeah, Deb, I think we get narrower.
Yes.
We get narrow. We find something to do, and we feel like we've got to stick with that. We're stuck in it, and you know what the results of that are in a big way.
That's right. Now, who's Loranda?
Loranda.
She's
hiding in the back over here. Now okay. Now I'm gonna hold on. Let me get her profile out here, because
that's so contrary to her style. Her style is I with D and C pretty close by. So
okay. Well, you've got Loranda and Julia right here in front of each other, both high, high I. And then, even Autumn, who you said, high D, she was equal D and I, which is almost similar to my style. But anyway, so you've got the I corner over here with both of them. So let me tell you about Loranda real quick, because she has, Terry, my wife, as you know, has been helping teach what are the kids' ages? Is it fifth? Not fifth grade. Yeah, fifth grade down? No? Yeah. No, you've been with the younger ones. Preschool and kindergarten. Okay, so Loranda was her kind of like assistant teaching the preschool and younger, and went from day one. And Terry says, oh my gosh, she just came alive. She was great with these kids. She was intuitive. And so there's a little background of something that's just happened in the past. Well, this is the third week now that you've been doing it. Okay, here, Caleb, where's the mic here? Okay, so for either of them, Miranda, you ready? Okay, so put it real close to your mouth, and if you want to give a couple things that you said you were good at. Though I just let the cat out of the bag on one of them.
And that you enjoyed.
And that you enjoyed. That's true.
Writing poems and singing.
Writing poems and singing.
Love it.
Those are the two main ones you did? Yeah? Writing poems, singing. Okay, so you can take that. That's an easy one. Go.
So let's talk about the singing, Loranda. When you sing, are you singing in front of other people, or are you always only singing to yourself?
Mainly just by myself, and then sometimes with a friend.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And when you write poems, do you share them with other people too?
Only certain people.
Yep, of course. Yeah, that you got to be really careful with. That's for sure. But what's interesting is somebody who has very strong eye wiring, they like to be able to influence people, and you can influence people by singing, by dancing, by acting, by telling stories, right? I mean, when you were working with Terry with the younger children, did you enjoy that piece too? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Yep. And that's one of the things that's so interesting, because if you think about it, Loranda, your gifting or your strengths, some of them have to do with your ability to be able to, I don't know, connect with people in a way that they get to see you shine. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That you like for them to see you and to see you smiling.
Yeah, that's what Terry says. She just lights the room up.
Yep.
See, look at that smile. I mean, how could that not light up a room? All right. You want to do stay on the same bent with Julia?
Yeah, Julia, our other eye. And Julia, you're actually a little bit higher in the eye as compared to the other pieces, the D and the S and the C. So now, Julia, tell me about the two things that you've written down about your strengths and satisfaction.
The two that I wrote down was singing and helping people. Like, I don't know, I just like being around with people.
So what type, like how would you help them? To give me an example if you don't mind.
Well, when I was living in Albuquerque, I used to help homeless people like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go to this building where they would meet up, and we would feed them and give them clothes and things like that. And I would go around getting to know them and, just like talking to them and just, yeah.
That's great. So now, if you wouldn't mind my asking then, Julia, when you were singing, who are you singing for?
Who was I singing for?
Yeah.
Like, wait, what do you mean? Like,
were you singing in front of other people? Were you just singing to yourself?
In front
were you
of other
singing
people.
Harmony with Loranda?
Yes. We do that all the time.
Yep. So you guys encourage each other and share that gift with each other, which is great.
Yeah.
So now, when you were even with the homeless people and you were serving in that area, which is awesome to do, what piece of it did you enjoy the most?
Being around all of them. Like, it was really amazing because they're all different and they all came from different places, and just like to hear about their lives, I was really, really shocked because I thought my life was bad, but when I heard theirs, it was really like just shocking. And and I just like talking to them, and they talked about their cultures, different cultures that they lived and things that they go by, and like, stuff like that.
Now, our friend Tori just put in the chat box, gotta love eye-wired people. They never met a stranger. And I would imagine for you, Julia, you make friends really easily.
Yes.
You're able to talk to people at least pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's one of the things that's really important then for folks like you and Loranda is both of you really enjoy being with other people and being able to help other people and being able to maybe make life a little bit better for other people, whether it's a young child and you're reading them a book or an older person who's homeless. So it's similar to Caleb. Remember how we were talking about Caleb can, create using woodwork or Legos or paper. Similar to you guys, the way you influence other people could be through singing. It could be through serving. It could be through helping, younger children. It could be through, making a tense moment a little lighter by cracking a joke or a smile or trying to get everybody to just be nicer to each other. And that's a gift. And one of the things that's really important for folks that, like you guys, that have a lot of eye wiring is that whatever you do, you need to be in an environment where you can connect with people. That's really important. Because if you're alone for too long, you'll get really bored and a little sad.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Deb. I mean, you're high D, and I am fairly, though my eye is too, but I can work in solitude for a long time. And yet you and I know a lot of people who think, oh my gosh, it'd be horrible. I got to be with other people. And that's going to be indicative here. Okay, you got something else too?
No.
Question? No? And you guys got questions, let me know. Okay, hey, I wanted to ask you too then on Autumn back here. Okay, you got her profile because she is, let me pull hers out.
It's D and I for the most part, but mostly D.
Well, but she did not, unless I wrote down on it, she's 7 and 7.
I know. What was interesting is when Autumn first filled out the profile, her D was a little higher.
Okay, well, that's why it's interesting to me as well, because living with her, when I told Terry that, Terry said, oh, she's more D. And I would say that as well, though I see the I in her too. So is that something where, maybe her answers changed it a little bit, or her perspective did, or as you talk about too, your environment can alter how you're functioning there. So I don't know, you lead on that.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about it. So Autumn, when you filled out the report this time around, right? Were you aware that, of your previous score and kind of how you had scored before? Not really. You really didn't pay much mind to it.
I actually forgot. I didn't know I had taken that test before. I knew I had taken some personality tests, but I didn't know it was that one.
Yeah, no worries. So what's interesting is that a lot of times when we're in an environment where we have to step up to the plate big time in an area in our lives, whether we are 12 or 102, what happens is our D wiring is that muscle's getting a lot of exercise. And when we are in an environment where if we are D and have some I wiring too, like Kevin, it's interesting, your I and D or D and I am as well. My I is above the line, but my D is still much stronger and it's much more dominant than my I. So I wouldn't say that I would run skipping down the street singing like Loranda or Julia might.
Yeah.
And Autumn, you might not either, except on a rare occasion where all of a sudden you're just feeling so joyful and so amazing that people like us can sort of let that filter go for a moment and just get out there and do it. Does that ever happen to you, or would you say it's very rare like it is for me?
I don't know, I guess, I don't know, my mood changes a lot. Sometimes I feel like I just, want to be with people, and I feel really energetic, and then sometimes I'm just get away from me, I just want to, do my own thing.
Yep.
So, I don't know, it changes a lot. It just depends on my mood.
That's definitely such a D characteristic. I see your dad smiling there because he can totally relate. Mm-hmm. We tend to want to hibernate, and that's how we get our best work done. And then when we feel the need to be energized by being with people, it's our choice. And then we break out and be with people. And then we become reclusive again. And Autumn, you have a lot of responsibility, though, too. I mean, you're the oldest girl in the family. Caleb, you're the oldest guy in the family. So you guys have a lot more responsibility, perhaps, than a lot of other people. So you may take on other roles because, that's something everybody in the family needs to pull together. I'm the oldest of 7 kids, so I know what that's like. And sometimes we have to step into that responsibility. And at times that makes us exercise our D-wiring a little bit more than maybe we might want it to. But it does help us build some muscle there that really serves us well later on in life. Now, Autumn, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us a couple of things that you do where you feel really like you do a great job and you feel satisfaction.
I don't know. It's kind of hard for me. I think one of them is I really like making a point. If I disagree with someone about something, I don't want to just sit there, and I want to make them understand my way and agree with me, kind of. Mm-hmm. So,
yep.
And then
I can testify to that. She enjoys making a point for sure.
I think I'm pretty good at it.
She is. Yeah, she'd be a good debater. I should have said that too. Even in regards to that, so you got eyes here. Julia has already talked about a desire to be a lawyer, to pursue that, and she's talked about corporate lawyer, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
so
awesome.
as far as things that she enjoys, which same thing, yeah, Autumn, I can see her. We talked about that too, like debate, being on the debate team kind of thing, and some of those aspects. So yeah, go ahead.
Um.
I thought you were going to say singing.
Oh.
Again.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Oh, that too? Are you kidding me?
But not in front of people.
Well, you do though.
Yeah. Sometimes.
She's always singing. I mean, you talk about somebody who sings in the shower. She sings everywhere. But then she also does at church up in front of a couple hundred people with Terry and with her sister Autumn. You know, they're doing that. So that's
Or
a big.
Eliza.
Oh, yeah, her
Eliza.
sister Eliza.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the kids, which is part of my next question I'm coming to. But, yeah, how interesting. 3 eyes, and they're all, singing. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, and that's one really good tip for parents. You know, if you have a child, I was doing a workshop for parents, and this one gentleman, I came to find out after the workshop, the whole time he just seemed like he was not enjoying this workshop at all, like he had been dragged there by his wife, you know. Afterwards, I found out he was an investment banker, and his son was very high eye-wired. So his son loved to sing and to dance and to act and to do all these really expressive things. And what happened was, at the end of the day, the father was disappointed that the son wasn't more like him. And this is such a good point for parents, that we have to honor how our kids are wired, not try to rewire them. We're not electricians, you know.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great line.
Right. Our place as parents is to find out what their strengths are, and then give them a lot of time up at bat, if you will, using those strengths. So let them practice it in a lot of different ways. So, for example, with Autumn being so good at influencing people, right? I'll tell you, Autumn, if I had to have somebody go in and get an electrician to my house, I'd probably put you on the phone, because I bet you could convince them to make me the top priority, right? You'd be excellent at that. Yeah. Where somebody who wasn't as comfortable taking command and control, they wouldn't enjoy it. They'd be a little frightened by it. But you would just rock it. You'd probably do great.
Absolutely. She at the farmer's market, and Terry, that's the camera right there. That's our camera. Just so you know. Yeah, thanks a lot. That's my wife messing with the camera. All right, at farmer's market, that the kids have done selling their stuff, and she's the one with her coffee to just step right out and say, "Hey, have you tried this?" Great salesperson. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got a couple. You keep going, but then I got a couple questions for you. Chris Puckett put one in the chat box. It's a good question, and then I've got one on a similar note as well.
I see Chris's. How can I teach them to work together and help each other more instead of always telling the other what to do? Welcome to parenthood, my friend.
Yeah. When you figure that out, let us know, Chris.
Yeah, and at ages 6 and 11, here's the thing, Chris. I think, one of the things you'd want to look at, and Chris, I don't know if you got from me the Wired Style program for kids. Anybody who's listening right now to the broadcast, let me give you a freebie. If you email me at deb@mywiredstyle.com, I'll send it to you for free. Just tell me the age of your child, and I'll either send you the teen one that's usually $20, or the one for a younger child that's $20 as well. I'll send it to you for free.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you.
No problem. So Chris, when you look at how your children are wired, one or two things you're going to want to take a look at is, in the report that you'll get back, it'll tell you how you can teach your child to best connect with other styles. That's so important. And one of the things that I would just let folks know is, I wrote a children's book a couple of years ago called The Discovery Adventure Club. It's up on Amazon. You can buy it. And all the proceeds go to a local ministry, which we love, Prodigal House. But what's really important with that is this. In the back of the book, in the very back of the book, we share with parents how to help their children learn how to get along with the other styles. So that's the first cut. The second cut is, when you're siblings, you have to have rivalry. There's going to be conflict. Everybody, not everything's going to be equitable. Everybody's going to think the other one is getting the better deal. I mean, maybe the Miller children are exceptional in that way, but I will tell you, growing up as the oldest of 7, it didn't work so well for me. I always felt like somebody else was getting a better deal than I was. And I had no problem, like Autumn would, to point it out to them, right? So, Chris, one of the things you want to do is just accept the fact that it's part of helping them to learn how to get along and how to have good values and good communications. But being able to teach them about how they're wired is really going to help them to put some form around why their sibling acts the way they do. Sometimes they think their sibling is acting the way they do just to annoy them. And sometimes that's true, but not always.
Okay, that leads right into the question that I had, because it relates to everybody, all these guys here, including my kids as well. So you've got somebody, well, especially like Caleb. So he's high C, more not so much of a people person by nature. And so some of the kids here may be the same thing as well, but none of them have that opportunity. I mean, everybody here, they're all living in homes with, 7, 8 in each home, generally, sometimes more, depending on if some of the house parents are gone. Same thing. My kids, they've got 6 siblings each. It doesn't matter what their personality style is. They're going to have that. So Autumn may fit her a little easier, but not Caleb's. But they learn to adapt, and hopefully we as parents understand that and are more apt to cater to that a little bit. But just talk about that aspect of, regardless. So each of these, so if you got 7 different personality styles and they're all in a home together, they all are sitting at the dinner table with 9, 10 people, including house parents and sometimes more. And that's just the reality of life. How's that going to impact them? How can they deal with that in a way that they don't get frustrated if it doesn't fit them well?
Well, first of all, it actually ends up being a positive long term. Let me share with you why. I do a lot of work with leadership and with leaders, whether it's solopreneur leaders or big corporate leaders. And what's interesting is the number one leadership skill that any successful leader, CEO, corporate, person, mega entrepreneur needs to have is the ability to connect with other people. Now, what's interesting is when you grow up in a house or an environment, even with extended family living next door, even when you have a lot of opportunity to be exposed to different personality types, different approaches, different ways people get things done, or different ways people talk, you learn from that experience, and you find ways, even at a very young age, to connect with people in a way that you can. And kids do it very organically. You guys and gals out there, you guys do it so easily because you have to do it. You're in a large group, right? Where for folks that join, like my daughter grew up as an only child. Well, lucky for us, she has a lot of cousins, because otherwise her only view of the world would be how she's wired, how I'm wired, or how my husband's wired. Right? But those folks like myself and like you guys who grew up in a large home, we learn to deal with different personalities really, really early. And that, if we learn that skill well and we use it well for our lifetime, it will serve us so well. Because then, whether we're naturally shy or not, we at least know how to connect with somebody else in a way that feels okay.
Excellent. Yeah, I just felt like that's relevant because I see that, again, especially with Caleb, the fact that he's high C and yet he's in a home with 9 people, always. And he has to learn how to cope with that. And, I think that it's good, but then we want to cater to that as well. But then, even Autumn being, more high I finds herself where she wants to just get out. But I see that, and I think that you've talked about that so much that even though you may have one certain high characteristic, that your circumstances are going to alter it some.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We just have to be able to roll with the punches. Learning that early on in life will serve us well if we use it that way. We could also use it in the negative. We could use it to want to isolate ourselves and not be involved with other people. But you know what? You guys seem a lot smarter than that. You guys are well in touch with what your strengths are and things you've done well in the past. So I'm not so concerned about that at all.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you see Carolyn's post here?
Go ahead.
She through the book with her younger children, and she was surprised when she learned what one of her children's strengths were. So, Carolyn, I'd love for you to be able to, expand on that a little bit more, because that would be helpful for everyone to learn a little bit more about. The other thing, too, is, as we're sort of growing up and we're just making life decisions, are we going to college? Are we going to start a business? Are we getting a traditional job, right? It's really important that we realize that inside each one of us, no matter who we are, there's this amazing strength, there's this amazing gift and talent. And for some of us, some people, it blossoms very early in their life. For people like me, it wasn't so early. It came a couple of decades later, right? But no matter who we are, no matter where we are, and no matter how we grew up, whatever our circumstances are, that gift is still there. And some of us are going to unwrap that gift, in our teenage years. Some of us in our 20s, some of us in our 30s, right? But what I would encourage everyone is that just take that gift, whatever it is, and use it for the rest of your life, and just find a way to take a small percentage of your time and serve other people with it, and you will just rock this world.
Beauty. All right. Thank you, Deb, so much. Hey, so anybody who's in there live, if you got a question, throw that in. Otherwise, we'll wrap up. Well, like you talked about and Caroline talked about, or somebody said that. Said, I think it was Caroline said, I can't believe I haven't done this. So that's your charge. If you've got kids or you lead kids, one, to have them do a profile so that you understand them, which, Deb, when you and I met, that was your core focus at that point was, just passionately wanting people to understand, kids to understand themselves, understand how they're wired, which a lot of grown-ups don't know. But those who are leading them, parenting them to know so that they understand how that kid's wired and can help harness their strengths, but also just relate to them better. So if you haven't had your kid take a DISC profile, go to mywiredstyle.com and do that. Get that. But then look at this again. This is what Deb does then to enhance that so you actually can do something with it. So do an exercise like this to say, what do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? And start putting those tangible realities together with some science like this so that it can be used in a tangible sense, in a real sense in their lives. So mywiredstyle.com, go there and then get involved a few different ways in that regards, Deb. And give them a differentiation of who you would want to go to My Wired Style or then go to strengthleader.com.
Yeah, for parents, listen, if you really want to get in touch with how you're wired or how your kids are wired, go to mywiredstyle.com. It's all there. And like I said, freebie for today. So those of you that are listening to the broadcast, just email me. I'll send you the paper version for free, the PDF. You can download it and go do this with your kids. This is the best kitchen table talk you can have. Hey, how'd you use that strength today? Man, you were amazing at making decisions. What decisions did you make today? This gives you something to talk about with your kids that's meaningful and give them ample choices and chances to use it over and over and over again. The next thing is, if you're a parent and you really want to harness your leadership skills and you want to grow as a leader, whether you're a leader of your family or a leader of your business, then you could check out strengthleader.com. But I just encourage families listening in, man, just get where your child is at today and just help them to exercise that muscle really early on.
Beauty. You got a post there from Caroline.
I see. So her son Mayo is seemingly quiet at first, low-key and maybe even shy. He's actually rates very high as a D, and I could see it now. It's just a different form of D than I am. He is dominant in a rather calm way, and I am an in-your-face kind of D. Great point, Carolyn. I'm so glad you brought this up. Typically, younger Ds, we will seem like we are nice people, like we're calm, like we're cool, like we don't want to be the boss until we can't be. And then, wham, we're in your face about it, and we'll get a little bit more aggressive than most. But we'll come off, as long as things are going our way, we're low-key. When things are going our way, we're happy as a clam. When we're in charge of something and no one's rocking our world in a bad way, there's nothing for us to be aggressive about. So just to put that in perspective too, so parents, just because you have a child who's high D doesn't mean that every, moment of the day they're going to have their hands on their hips and telling you what to do. As long as things are going their way, you'll think you have an S-wired child when you really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You got. We have somebody who's jumped out of the chat box and is actually here with us live. Hold on a second.
Well, I was just going to say. Also, I wonder if some of that difference in like what Caroline's talking about with Mayo, that it's what it's paired with, that it's high D and C or high D and I. Like a D personality that's a lot of I personality is going to be a really, really different kind of, that D is going to come out very differently than somebody that's high D and high C. And so I wonder about that being, can really change the color and the tone of that D personality also.
Yeah, certainly the mix and that dynamic can shift a little bit. And if someone, like Terry points out, if someone is D and I, they're going to be more talkative than, let's say, a D and a C, because the D and the C mixture is going to be a little bit more reserved in nature. So, but with Carolyn saying that Mayo was really very D-wired, very strong in the D-wired competencies, it also has to do with who they're spending the most time with and who they're dealing with. Because if they're, sort of in charge of their younger brother or sister who's very compliant, then there's no conflict. Maybe Chris Puckett, when you were talking about your two kids at ages 6 and 11, maybe they're very similarly wired. So there's sort of this power struggle going on too. So that's why really understanding what their real gifting is, where their real disc score comes out, is so helpful. But great point, Terry.
Beauty. Okay. Hey, you guys, thanks. Thanks for doing it and for participating here. Deb, as always, thanks so much for yes, and Everett, you're the greatest. Everett's over here, and he has so much personality, he couldn't fit on the screen. So I thank him, too. But thanks, Deb, so much for just doing what you do, giving us your gifting and anointing here, and for your offer for the folks who are listening to get the profile. I'm immensely grateful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Be safe, you guys.
All right. Hey, so I'll be back with you in a week. Actually, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll be in Tennessee, so I may, if I get things right amongst family, maybe I'll come to you with a couple other characters, maybe even my dad I can get on here, my brother, who many of you know, while we're in Tennessee. So thanks for tuning in with us today. Get your teen doing this so that you understand them and they understand themselves. Deb, thanks, sister.
That had to be Everett.
That's
was
awesome.
That
No, that was Julia. Is it off now? That's okay. Is it done now? Yeah. No, the recording's done. Now we're still live on video. Let me turn that off for just a second, though. Hey, everybody who's on video, thanks for being with us. I'll be back with you next week. All right. Bye.